I'm not into prescribing hearing aids, but this is what I want to talk to from the point of someone who needs a hearing aid. 2.5 years ago, I got the Opticon hearing aid. Which was, or still is, battery operated. And you had to change out the battery every time it died out on you. And it was compatible with the iPhone. And you press one of these buttons here for incoming calls. And you can also listen to music on it from your iPhone. Now, it's not Bluetooth compatible, but you have to go to accessories and hearing aids devices on it to access this. Now, Opticon, when I received it from the VA hospital, where I was lucky enough to have quality personnel there to prescribe the correct hearing aid. Now, all hearing aids hardware is basically the same. All you would need to do is find a good audiologist to program the upper and the lower signals on here for it to work. You can purchase a $10,000 pair of hearing aids, and if the doctor screws it up, you're not going to be able to hear right out of it. But if you get like a $900 hearing aid, which basically the hardware is the same, and you get an excellent doctor who does the hearing correctly programming, it would work better than the $10,000 one. But like I said, basically the hardware is the same. All it is in the programming and the features that come with it. Now, back in July of last year, I had some ringing in my right ear, because that's what this one was for. The red one is for the right ear, the color-coded, and the blue one is for the left ear. Now, like I said, last year back in July, I went in because I had some slight ringing in my right ear, and I was told by the doctor there that sometimes this happens when there's some loss in hearing. And she recommended that I have another hearing test done. I wasn't scheduled to have another hearing test done until December of 2019. But because I was there like 5 months earlier, because I was having problems with the right ear, she recommended that I have the hearing test done again. And I agreed. And she told me that I was having problems with my left ear. And because the technology on this one was outdated, now every 10 to 20 months, they come out with some new technology. So this one here, the Opticon, was the current technology hearing aid that was available to them at the time I had the hearing test done for my right ear. When I went back and they wanted to do the hearing testing again, she noticed there was a drop in my left ear, so she gave me the Phonak hearing aid. As you can see here, the lights are on. When they're solid, that means it's fully charged. When you get the green blinking lights, that means it's charging. If you get like the amber blinking lights, that means the battery was extremely low, and you have to wait for it to get significant charge. Now, over here, is the power pack that comes with it. The hearing aids I got, the batteries are rechargeable, and normally you would recharge it here without the power pack, but I got the power packs from the VA. So, as you can see over here, I got 2 green lights. That means it's 2/3 of the way full, and there's 3 lights here. So that's an indication of the power drainage in the power pack. Now this is good, the power pack, for when you're on the go. Say like you, for some reason, your hearing aids weren't charged up. Either you forgot to put it in here, or the connection on it wasn't connected right away correctly. Now over here, I don't know if I can see that, you got 2 metal prongs in there which would charge up the battery when it's placed in here. Now with this over here, when you're wearing the hearing aids throughout the day, especially like during the summertime, the skin has a tendency to sweat once it reaches a certain temperature. So it's good to have the properly clean these around here for wax buildup. And over here, you don't want to dip this in water. You just want to take like a cloth or something and make sure it's not fully wet, but wet enough to clean around here, and especially around here, the prongs here. This way, any oil or grease or sweat that comes on to here, you want to make sure it's fully cleaned. That way, when you place it in here, well, apparently I can't see it too well. You want to make sure it's charging. Now, over here, is where the dry pack goes. So that way, when at night, when it's in here, it dries it out. And oh yeah, I'm babbling again. The power pack is always nice to have for when you're on the go, and you want to, and it uses micro USB plug that goes in here. You can charge it from an outlet or from your computer, or one of those plugs you plug into a cigarette lighter to charge it up that way for when you're on the go. And for whatever reason you didn't charge it at night properly, a 30 to 40 minute charge in here while you're on the go, like you're driving to work or you're going somewhere, it will charge. A 30-40 minute will give you a couple of hours of usage. Now, me, I usually go to the gym, or I did before the coronavirus started, And this is hooked by Bluetooth. You compare it to your iPhone or an Android phone, whichever phone has a Bluetooth built into it. Now, I have the iPhone, and when I'm doing my exercises at the gym, I'm listening to my music, and just like the Octagon, you press this button here to answer any calls that may be coming in. Either the left one or the right one, it doesn't matter, to answer the calls, and you press either left one or right one to end the calls. And when I used it to answer my calls or to make calls or whatever the case may be, it was crystal clear talking on it. And especially like when I'm driving, I can answer the phone from my hearing aids, and while I'm driving, and I cannot get a ticket because it's Bluetooth compatible. And if the cops see the phone in your hand, well, they're going to assume you're talking on it or texting on it, pull you over and give you a ticket. But and I don't recommend texting to anybody while they're operating heavy machinery, which a car is considered heavy machinery. And if you don't listen to your music, I wouldn't recommend using the hearing aid while you're driving. I recommend you using the radio or something. This way you can leave your ears listening to other sounds that are going on, because it's illegal to be listening to your music through some sort of Bluetooth device over your ears, because then you won't be able to hear the sounds surrounding you. And that's what you would need to do. So it's not recommended using the hearing aid as a way to listen to your music while you're driving. And it's good to be using it for when you're exercising or you're walking around the house, cleaning, cooking, or just doing your daily chores. This way you won't be disturbing anybody else. Now, there are numerous features that come with it, like being able to remotely access your caregiver for the hearing aids one way, and they can adjust it through your smartphone or iPhone remotely if there needs to be adjustments made on it. And now they have a TV connector, because I used to have my TV on extremely loud, and usually I have people around me saying that the TV was too loud, lower it, just like they thought I was screaming at them because I was loud, and half the time I didn't even realize I was loud or the TV was loud. Now, with the hearing aids and the TV connector, which transmit the audio sound directly into the hearing aids, I can lower the volume on the TV to make it comfortable for other people if they want to listen. or I can place it on mute if they don't want to hear the TV, but I can still hear it myself. Now, they also have a Roger pen. It looks like a regular pen, which I don't have, but it looks like a regular pen. And you'll point it at the person who's speaking, and it will transmit it directly into the hearing aid. Or I can leave it in my shirt pocket. It still works that way too. Also, they have this other Roger device which sits on the table like this, and it's like a speakerphone. It looks like one of those speakerphones with 3 speakers on it. This way people can talk on the phone, conference, like if you're in the office, where you can put one of those down on a table so you can listen to other people talking. And it's also like the Roger pen, which I prefer getting soon. Of course, that's got a directional aim on it, where I can point it at the person I'm talking to, like this. And I can bring it a little closer to them, where I'll be able to hear them a little bit better, especially when there's background noise. Now, usually when you're talking to somebody using hearing aids, there's usually you're over here in the middle, and you're getting sounds 360 degrees completely around. You can adjust it to look like this, which is a pizza slice. You can narrow the this has like 3 speakers on it, like here, here, and here. You can narrow it to where it's just using one. This way, you be facing the person you're talking to, and which will more or less eliminate the background noise. And you can, if you're talking to somebody on your right side, and you got like 2 or 3 people to your left who are talking to each other, that means I can put the left hearing aid on mute and keep the one on the right side unmuted if I'm talking to the person on the right. This way I can hear them a little bit better. And also, I can do it the reverse. If somebody's on my left side, I'm talking to, and I got like 3 or 4 people on my right, I can put the hearing aid on the right on mute. And also, I can adjust the volume on both hearing aids at the same time for up and down volume, or I can decrease the hearing aid on one side to avoid picking up people on the one side. If I'm talking to somebody else on the other side, I can increase the volume on that side. I can like balance it. Lower on one side, higher on the other side, depending on which side of me the person sit on. If they're not sitting across from me, I can adjust the volume. This way, on the person I'm talking to, I can be able to hear them better. Now, I'm not advertising one hearing aid over the other, because basically they're all the same. But you would want to get one if you got the proper insurance, or if you're a veteran to go into the VA and you need 2 hearing aids. I recommend getting one that has a lot of features in it. Now, the one that goes directly in your hearing, like in your ear, most likely you have to change the battery on it when it dies out. And those, because they're so small, don't have a lot of features in it. The ones that are behind the ear, like the Octagon and the Phonak, as you can see, is going to be slightly larger than the one that goes in the ear. Because the one that goes in the ear, they have to compact it in there. And it's so compact that there's no room to put anything else in it. Now, with the one that goes behind the ear is going to be a little bit larger. So that means there's more room to put more stuff in there. And for this reason, I'm able to connect it to my phone. I'm able to adjust the volumes on it. And I can use the phone Roger pen for it for when, like, I'm out in public or I'm at a restaurant and so on. And they also got one that if, say, like you got a child who's in elementary school or junior high or one of public schools, and they have to wear hearing aids, what you can do, or at least with the Octagon and the Phonak, is what I have the most experience with. So I'm not recommending, I'm just reviewing this. Like with the Phonak, they got this little device which the teacher can hang around his neck or her neck, depending on what the gender is. And when they're talking to the class, if your child, for whatever reason, doesn't sit all the way up front, say like they sit in the middle or in the back a little bit, that Phonak necklace that the teacher's wearing will transmit his or her voice to the child who's wearing the hearing aids. Now, there are probably some other hearing aids out there which does the same thing, but not all of them do. It depends on who the manufacturer is and what type of features they put into it. Like I said, basically the hardware for each and every one of them is more or less the same. It's like cars. It's like buying a Mercedes compared to buying a Toyota or a Buick. Mercedes is up there. It's more fancy, but like the other cars, like the Buick, it has an engine, it has a transmission, and so on. So it just depends on what your preference is. So when you go to a doctor, you got to make sure the doctor is up to date on the computer programming for the hardware. So you got to pick out a doctor who knows what he or she is doing when they're doing the programming. And some other hearing aids with other than Phonak, but Phonak has a remote access for the doctor so they can make the adjustments, because I got the programming for the Phonak on my iPhone, and they can remotely access it through that app for their Phonak and remotely accessing it, which they started doing recently. So it's best to pick out a doctor who's up to date on the techniques for programming the hearing aid and who's using the latest software instead of the software from 20 years ago. So everything's not dependent on the hearing aid you get, but on the doctor who's very knowledgeable in the hearing aid profession. This way, you can have the proper programming done. Now, a lot of doctors, they usually make money off the hearing aids and whatnot, so they're more apt to recommend certain ones like whatever hearing aids from the manufacturers are out there, they're wheeling and dealing their devices in order to get the doctor to recommend it to their patients. So I'll be more worried about not so much as the hearing aids themselves, but rather the doctors who are performing the hearing test and promoting whatever hearing aids they want. Because some of these doctors will lock the hearing aids to their computers only, so you can't go anywhere else. And some doctors won't do that. They won't lock it to their computers, so you can take it somewhere else if you want, as long as it's not locked and you're not completely satisfied with that particular doctor. But you'd want to check out other people to see if they swear by this doctor and going back there, or swear that they're going to go someplace else. So I would do my research not on the hearing aids, but on the doctor who's going to perform the programming on the hearing aid. Me, I was lucky. I went into the service right after I graduated high school, put in my time, and now that I got hearing loss, I'm able to go to the VA hospital and see the doctor there for my hearing. And they're doing very good by me with getting my eyeglasses checked with my eyes and updating it when necessary. And the last 3 years or so, I've been having problems with one ear, then both ears. So I got very lucky with the VA hospital and my hearing aids. I hope this helps you in deciding on how to go about getting the hearing aids done. Now, there are insurances that will pay for the hearing aids. Then there are insurances that will not pay for it, or they will only pay for one. And there's a deductible. So see about what's in your budget if you don't have an out-of-pocket deductible or have to pay for it completely. You may want to choose whatever one you can afford. And but make sure you see a doctor. You may get like a 60-year-old doctor who's not up to date on the new techniques for programming the hearing aids, but then you may get like a 20-year-old who is, or vice versa. So it all depends on the doctor you see. And I stress this very much in seeing which doctor is excellent for you. I never had to go anyplace other than a VA to have my hearing tested, so I wouldn't know what's out there. For me, the VA has been very good to me with my hearing and so on. Thank you.